to open up the hole in the center by about 1/16, I suppose, and that's probably best done with the Dremel. The nose block can now go on like that. Motor turns. Okay, so what I've done to get this sort of squared up somehow, I've drawn a 90-degree angle on the bench, and I've just lined this part of the wing up to the line, so that should be pretty much the angle for the wing. Now, rib number 1 has these little feet on it. That's to allow for the 1/16 sheeting which goes on the center section. So that will go in there, that will go in there, it's a nice fit, and that will go up there. Now this rib has to obviously be parallel to my 90-degree line. What I want to do is to put a couple of pins through that main spar, and that will fix the position of it. I'm going to use CA glue, and it shouldn't stick to the plastic bag that it came in, so that's why it's down there. I've also got a template, I should say, it's got 3 degrees marked on it. That's to allow for the wing to slope back 3 degrees. That will give the dihedral. Okay, let's put a few more ribs in. Number 1, number 2 I'm looking for. That'll be that one there. It'll go in there like that and like that. Goes like that, and then I'll trim it off when it's done, and then this little tip rib goes on like that. Okay, that looks quite good to me. So that rib's got to be set at that angle. I've got a 90-degree angle showing on that side. Maybe that's just to get those ribs there at 90 degrees. 3 degrees dihedral. Okay, that's one wing done. It's quick. Okay, the wings just butt up to each other, so it's not a dihedral brace at all. Take those 3 there. Now, this one with the little indent goes in first, and it's got the little indent because it goes over the sheeting like that. It needs to be angled slightly to match that trailing edge piece. Don't worry about all these overhangs we get here, they're all going to be sanded off. Yeah, I've got to fit a servo here, which will mean cutting out a section. It's coming out. wingtip supports. Quite a strong wing. It'll gain even more strength when the covering's on. There's an aileron, because it's got to sit outside the fuselage, which is why it's short and accurate. So there we are, one wing built, flat as a pancake. It's got to be sanded, smooth, round up the leading edge a little bit, and we'll be good to join it to the other wing. So let me build the other one and come back to you in about 10 minutes probably. A quick tip for you when building the second wing: don't build two left-hand wings. It's been done, not by me. Honest God. Anyway, I've just marked up the angle to set the first wing there, so just be aware of that. Very easy mistake to do. Right, I'm just joining the wings with epoxy, but I've made this little dihedral brace which goes against the main spars, because I would feel happier with one in there, and it's a good old tight fit, as you can see. There we go. Right, let that set and come back to it in a minute. Once this is done, then I can offer the wing up to the fuselage and start working on the air scoop via retainer. I'm guessing that these little parts are for the dowel support. Is that these, because the dowel's quite high up on the inside edge, so I'm thinking that they glue on there like that, and then they support the dowel, which pegs into the back of F2. Look about the right height. So I've just been working on the scoop. I think that's right. I put the dowel in and then put the gussets underneath so as it touched the doweling, but they're such a tight, well not tight, they're such a good fit that you can just set them flush to the leading edge. They're in two parts. Before I glued them together, I just chamfered the two inside edges so it had a little sort of cradle for the dowel to sit in. So that's just epoxied on and went very well. Once that was in, I could then turn the model over. I marked a couple of lines to keep it square to the fuselage, bolted on the ply plate at the back, glued the sides on, chamfered the front of the air scoop, put that on. Now I've just glued on the top rails, which don't line up with the back because I sheeted it. It's a good fit, very nice, very happy with that. So it's coming along nice. Maybe the next job will be to have a look at the tail. Oh, make the hatch catches, I think. Put the dowel in for the front hatch, and I'll put a couple of little magnets at the back. I've done the small dowel on the front there. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if that small one should have been there and vice versa. Then it would have been, I'd have actually been in the slot. Anyway, that goes in there, and then I'm going to put a magnet at the back. And the way I'm going to do it, I've got two little 5mm by 2mm neodymium magnets, and I've decided I'm just going to put one in the back of here and one in the back of the fuselage. So to make the hole, I've got a piece of 5mm brass tube which I've just sharpened up the end, and just using that as a sort of a drill. It's quite soft-ish balsa, so it's going in quite well. But this has to be flush to the face of the wood. Let's try that. So you end up with this nice little round about there. Oh, yeah, it would happen. Anyway, that piece of balsa wood in theory should be about the same size as this, which I don't think it's quite deep enough yet. Put that in there. Push on that one, can't I? There we go. Got a nice clean magnet installed. Now all I've got to do is make a similar hole in the back of the, or in this former, and when I put the hatch on, it'll just go clunk. And the other thing you want to do is make sure the magnet is a little bit lower than the height of this magnet, because if it's higher, it'll hold the hatch off the balsa wood. It'll hold it up there, so it can afford to be a little bit below, and then that will pull it down. That looks pretty close. Now, the other thing with magnets is you've got to get opposite poles. So we'll see, just out of curiosity, if it happens to be the right way round, and it is. Locator at the front, hatch at the back. The thing is with a hatch like this, I know I've got the cockpit on the back. Not sure where, I'll have to, must be about there. But you need a good way to lift it up because magnets are quite strong. So what I normally do is just put a little tab of covering film just sticking up, covered underneath. I can just grab hold of and lift. So I'm just going to have a go at the fin and rudder. A couple of bits to glue together. And the rudder itself. I've blocked in the little shortfall of the tail plane there, so it fits on there like that now. Let's have a look, that'll fit in there. Up the spine. The rudder's a bit deeper than the, so a little skid goes on the back. I'll look into that. Either I put a skid on the back of the rudder because that lines up, the pushrod outlet lines up with the horn position very nicely, so I think I'm going to have to put some sort of tail skid on. That's looking very nice. Okay, there we are. Not bad. It's looking very Mustangy. There we are. I've just fitted a pair of, the instructions say 2.5 to 5 gram servos. These are 10 gram servos each, so quite a bit heavier, but I just had to make the slots a little bit bigger for the servos. So I've had to bend the wires down a little bit to get them to go through the holes neatly. But they come out at the tail end quite nicely to eke out the former in the middle there a little bit. So they work well. I've made the air scoop up. That's the air scoop basics on. I'll tell you what, I think I might fit the Aileron Servo. Little modification on the back end here. I've fitted a little triangular gusset, something for the tail plane to glue onto, something a little bit more than just the balsa wood sides. I was going to use fishing line. I haven't got any. I had some, but I've used it up. maybe that's something that could be included in the kit. A couple of inches of fishing line. Something else I've done, I'll mention it because you might see it on the video and wonder what it is. And it will answer a question now. Okay, so that's, I've got to put similar slots in the tail post of the aeroplane. I've inset a couple of pieces of wood in opposite grain. This is by way of stopping the wood from warping when I cover it. It's just a piece of 16 scrap, just let in there and glued in, so it's made it very anti-warp that way. Just a little trick. I've used the bottom slot on this side for the rudder and the top slot on this side for the elevator. So now I've got those hinged, I can sand the rudder to the same profile along the top. The brass tube needs to be fitted to the trailing edge of the wing. I've put a little bit of CA on there just to sort of hold it a bit. Okay, bit of a schoolboy error, I'm afraid, chaps. I fixed all this up and I put it in the plane, and this servo hits the bottom of the servos. Well, no, it doesn't actually. This servo's clear. I deliberately made sure that this servo would be clear. What's hitting is the control arms is hitting the bottom of the servo by about 3/16 of an inch, 5 mil, something like that. So I've got to reorganize these. So I'm going to ditch these arms, and I found a piece of brass tube, well, this piece of brass tube. I'm going to make 2 little brass horns on here. Right, I've redone the controls, so now they're a lot lower. Let's come out the servo now, but that's the way it all works now, and it should fit on the fuselage. Yeah. Oh, there's the exhaust ports. These look a bit of fun, look. These are part of the exhaust manifold. They glue on the side of the fuselage. Obviously I'm going to round them up a bit, but they're formed using a piece of dowel. Anyway, the larger diameter, you cut these down just to make little exhaust manifolds and just pull them back slightly to rake them. I'm not sure how far back they should go. I might file it a little bit more at an angle. 88 millimeters divided by 12. 12 into 88 will give me my maximum length of exhaust. Roll it, just making sure that the circumference is scored. Break that off. Right, so there's one. Give a little sand. Okay, it's going to go in there like that. I'll glue it back at a. Can I glue it back at an angle? Is there enough there to make an angle out of it? I'm just thinking how I'm going to finish it. It would be easier if I use the black felt pen again. I really don't want to get this on my fingers because it really stains them. So what I'll do, I'll cut the other 12, file the holes and drop them in with a bit of CA, and then we'll have a look at the finished item in a minute. Alright guys, so they'll go just there like that and look very smart. The only thing left to do now is I'm still thinking on the bottom here I can either stringer it, or do you know what, I think it would be rather good to have access to the ESC. Whether a small 8 amp type ESC would actually fit through that gap, it might do. I could make that gap a little bit bigger, but it is wing attachment point, so I'm loath to do that. So I'm wondering if I ought to just put a hatch on the bottom here. Maybe just a piece of a solid balsa, very light, and just a magnet and a dowel at the front to hold it in, and then at least at any time I can get access to ESC if it should have a problem. But I had an idea that I've left a little flange on the front here. I might just screw it on. I might just have a small screw at the front and a small one at the back just to hold it there, so it won't be a permanent fixture. I don't have to glue it onto film, and it's a nice solid fixture. And the pilot, I was thinking maybe this fella here, just in his peaked cap. Handsome devil. Very narrow-minded. But anyway, cut a slot, pop me in there like that. Right, I've made a bottom hatch, and what I've done, I've put two little dowels in the front just to lock into the air scoop hole at the front. This stops it from slipping sideways, and I've fitted one magnet in the back of each. I've put a bit of balsa on there to make life easy to drill a magnet hole. That's sanded, and that goes on there like that. So I've got access and a good hard landing area. Now while I was holding that and sanding it, I broke one of the top stringers, so I've decided I've just pulled them all out, and I'm just going to glue in a piece of solid 1/4 inch balsa and shape it down. So I'll have a really strong nose. This one will be glued on because it's only the battery hatch. Maybe not such a bad idea anyway. Bit of weight up the front, it might benefit from being quite solid. So I'm going to glue that on and let it dry and shape it down. Okay, this is going to wrap up part 2. I'm ready for covering. I've started by painting the nose red. It's got to have another coat yet. The tail feathers are going to be red. It's going to look brilliant. The red film I've got is really quite vibrant, and these are all fuselage bits, so they'll be red. White. The wing is going to be white, possibly with red tips. Probably with red tips, if I'm honest. And that's all ready to go. You've seen that. I painted black inside there. As soon as the air scoop is covered, I'll stick it on. The ailerons are now sanded, tapered down a bit at the back, probably to about 1/16 from an 1/8, so they're a much nicer shape. Did I show you that? I put a little block on the back because I just didn't like the way this former, F2 you could call it, was a little bit deeper than the wing, and there was a little step down, so I've just put this little thin block of balsa on there and just shaped it around a bit. I know it's going to be harder to cover, but it fares it in a little bit better. And also, of course, as a bonus, strengthens up that little area there, leading edge bit. So I'm going to get some film ready. We'll start by covering the wing. Yeah, I think I will do red tips. Don't forget, the plane's going to get very small very quickly, so I want something that's going to show up as much as possible. So I think I'll do the first bay red, and then white up to it, white the rest of it. Ooh, right, let's get going. Next video will be the covering and finishing of the model prior to maiden flight in it, of course. It's gone quite well. I've changed it here and there like us modelers do. Willy Nillies, check out their website. I'll put a link below, and they've got lots of fun models. Really American website, American models. I'm lucky enough to have been sent one from my mate Jerry. See you in the next one. Cheers. 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 Gone. You gone? You're still there.